Previously on the story, Jeffrey departed for Abuja with high hopes, trusting Temi to keep his daughters safe. But behind the guarded gates of the Ikoyi mansion, isolation and toxic peer pressure began to warp Temi's heart, leaving Jessica to suffer in silence, while Annabelle desperately raced against time to uncover the truth. Welcome back, drama lovers. Get ready for an intensely emotional and heartbreaking ride in Part 4. Just when you think you know where the story is headed, a shocking twist changes everything. The ultimate betrayal. Will Temi honor her promise to Jeffrey, or will she let outside voices ruin everything she holds dear? A race against time. Can Annabelle break through the wall of secrecy and time to save little Jessica from a devastating fate? Join the family. If this captivating Nollywood journey has touched your heart, like this video to show your support. Share it with your family and friends who love gripping African dramas. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single heart-stopping moment of the next episode. 3 days after Jeffrey left for Abuja, the once lively mansion in Ikoyi became unusually quiet. The elegant living room, with its cream velvet sofas, sparkling crystal chandeliers, marble floors, and towering glass windows, still looked magnificent. But something was missing. Laughter. Every morning, Jeffrey had greeted everyone with a smile. Jessica had filled the house with endless chatter. Chef Musa had argued playfully with Jeffrey in the kitchen. Now, only silence remained. At exactly 7:30 p.m., Jessica's phone rang. Her face lit up immediately. "Daddy," she answered the video call. On the screen appeared Jeffrey, smiling from his hotel room in Abuja. Behind him was a modern executive suite with stylish furniture, a large work desk, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "My princess," Jessica smiled from ear to ear. "Daddy, I miss you." "I miss you too." Jeffrey looked around. "Where's Auntie Temi?" Jessica turned the phone. Temi walked over and smiled politely. "How's Abuja?" "It's going well. The training is intense, but I'm learning a lot." Temi nodded. "I'm happy for you." Jeffrey smiled. "Thank you for taking care of Jessica." Temi looked at Jessica. "She's behaving herself." Jessica quickly interrupted. "I always behave myself." Temi raised an eyebrow. "Really?" Jessica laughed. "Almost always." All three laughed. For a brief moment, everything felt normal. As the days passed, Temi began feeling Jeffrey's absence more than she expected. Every morning, she instinctively looked toward the kitchen, expecting to find him preparing breakfast. Instead, only Chef Musa stood there. One afternoon, she entered the kitchen. Chef Musa smiled. "Good afternoon, madam." "Good afternoon." He served her lunch. She took one bite, then quietly put down her spoon. Chef Musa noticed. "Is something wrong?" Temi sighed. "The food tastes different." Chef Musa smiled knowingly. "Oh God, Jeffrey isn't here to disturb me." Temi couldn't help smiling. "Maybe that's what's missing." Chef Musa chuckled. "I thought I wanted peace. Now the kitchen is too quiet." That Saturday afternoon, the security guard announced another visitor. "Madam, Maureen is here." Temi sighed quietly. "Let her in." Maureen entered with shopping bags. "My beautiful friend." Temi hugged her. "You look tired." "I've just been busy." Maureen sat comfortably on the cream velvet sofa. She glanced around. "So, how are you enjoying your freedom?" Temi frowned. "My freedom?" "Yes, the house finally belongs to you again." Temi looked uncomfortable. "I never thought of it that way." Maureen smiled. "You should." Jessica walked downstairs carrying her school books. She greeted politely. "Good afternoon, Auntie." "Good afternoon." Jessica smiled. "I'm going to study." She disappeared upstairs. Maureen watched her leave, then leaned toward Temi. "My dear, you're still playing babysitter?" Temi remained silent. "The poison returns." Maureen lowered her voice. "You're 25 years old, beautiful, successful, and yet your house now revolves around another man's child." Temi looked away. Maureen continued. "When Jeffrey comes back, what happens? He'll continue living here? You'll continue paying school fees, feeding both of them?" Temi sighed. "I don't know." Maureen nodded. "Exactly. You need to think about yourself." The words echoed in Temmie's mind long after Marine left. Jessica returned from school happily. "Auntie, I got 18/20 in mathematics." Temmie looked up briefly from her laptop. "That's nice." Jessica waited. Normally, Temmie would hug her, celebrate with her. Today, nothing. Jessica slowly lowered her school bag. Oh, she quietly walked upstairs. Auntie Grace saw everything. She sighed. This isn't right. The following morning, Jessica carried a tray of fresh orange juice into the dining room. As she walked, her foot caught the edge of the rug. Oh, the tray tilted. A glass of juice spilled onto the polished marble floor. Jessica froze. "I'm sorry, Auntie." Temmie looked at the mess. For a few seconds she said nothing. Then she spoke sharply. "Jessica, can't you be careful?" Jessica immediately picked up a napkin. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "You never pay attention." Jessica quietly cleaned the floor. Her hands trembled. Auntie Grace stepped forward. "I'll help her." Temmie picked up her handbag. "I'm late for work." She walked away. Jessica remained kneeling on the floor. A tear dropped onto the marble tiles. Auntie Grace gently rubbed her shoulder. "It's okay. Don't cry." Jessica forced a smile. "I'm fine." But she wasn't. That evening, the mansion's gate opened once again. A sleek silver Lexus SUV drove into the compound. A beautiful young woman stepped out. She wore a simple but elegant blue dress and carried a warm smile. It was Annabelle. She had come to check on Jeffrey's daughter while Jeffrey was away in Abuja. Jessica ran toward her happily. "Auntie Annabelle!" Annabelle hugged her tightly. "I've missed you." Then she looked closely at Jessica's face. The little girl's smile was still there, but her eyes looked different. She looked frightened. Annabelle glanced toward Temmie, who was seated quietly in the living room, then back at Jessica. Something wasn't right, and Annabelle silently promised herself she would find out the truth before it was too late. The following Sunday afternoon, a cool breeze swept through the beautifully landscaped gardens of Temmie's magnificent Ikoyi mansion. The sound of the fountain blended with the cheerful songs of birds perched on the palm trees. From the outside, everything looked peaceful. Inside, a quiet storm was brewing. Annabelle notices the change. Annabelle sat comfortably in the luxurious living room. The cream velvet sofas, gold-trimmed center table, elegant African artworks, and sparkling crystal chandelier reflected Temmie's refined taste. Auntie Grace served tea and meat pies. "Thank you, Auntie Grace," Annabelle said with a smile. "You're welcome, my dear." Jessica walked downstairs carrying her school notebook. "Good afternoon, Auntie Annabelle." Annabelle smiled warmly. "Come here." Jessica ran into her arms. Annabelle hugged her tightly. "How's my brilliant girl?" "I'm fine." "You don't sound convincing." Jessica forced a smile. "I'm okay." Annabelle gently lifted Jessica's chin. Children often smiled with their mouths, but their eyes always told the truth. Jessica's eyes looked tired. "Funny homework." Annabelle looked at the notebook. "So, what subject are we reading today?" "English." "Wonderful." Jessica opened the book. "The teacher said we should use the word responsibility in a sentence." Annabelle smiled. "Can you?" Jessica thought for a moment, then answered confidently. "My daddy's responsibility is to love me." Annabelle smiled proudly. "Very good." Jessica continued, "And my responsibility is to finish all the biscuits before Daddy comes back." Annabelle burst into laughter. "Anan? So, you're confessing?" Jessica giggled. "If I don't finish them, they may expire." Even Auntie Grace laughed from the dining room. Later, Annabelle noticed Jessica sitting alone in the garden. She walked over quietly. "Can I join you?" Jessica nodded. Annabelle sat beside her. The flowers swayed gently in the afternoon breeze. After a few minutes of silence, Annabelle spoke softly. "Jessica, are you happy here?" Jessica hesitated, then forced another smile. "Yes." Annabelle gently held her hand. "You know, my uncle always says, a smile can lie, but tears rarely do." Jessica looked down. She remained silent. Annabelle continued. Did somebody offend you? Jessica quickly shook her head. No. Did Auntie Temmie shout at you? Jessica didn't answer. That silence was enough. Annabelle sighed gently. You can tell me. I won't tell your daddy. Jessica finally spoke. Auntie isn't the same again. Annabelle listened quietly. She doesn't smile with me anymore. If I make a mistake, she gets angry. Sometimes, I feel like she doesn't want Daddy and me here anymore. Her voice broke. I don't know what I did wrong. Annabelle wrapped her arms around the little girl. You didn't do anything wrong. Jessica finally burst into tears. I miss my daddy. Annabelle stroked her hair gently. I know. Annabelle decided to visit one of Temmie's restaurants on Victoria Island. The restaurant was beautifully designed with modern luxury interiors, polished marble floors, elegant pendant lights, comfortable leather seats, and large glass windows overlooking the busy Lagos streets. Temmie looked surprised. Annabelle? Long time. I know. They hugged politely. After ordering lunch, Annabelle looked directly at Temmie. I want to ask you something. What is it? Are you happy? Temmie looked confused. Of course. Annabelle smiled faintly. Then why does your house feel so sad? Temmie looked away. What do you mean? Jessica is no longer smiling. Temmie sighed. She's just missing her father. Annabelle leaned forward. No, she's afraid. Temmie frowned. Afraid? Yes. There was a brief silence, a heart-to-heart talk. Annabelle spoke calmly. Temmie, when Jeffrey first met you, did he ask you for money? No. Did he ask to move into your house? No. Did he ask you to pay Jessica's school fees? No. You offered. Temmie remained quiet. Annabelle continued. Have you ever seen him disrespect you? No. Has he ever lied to you? No. Has he ever stopped contributing in the house? No. Annabelle gently placed her hand on Temmie's. Then what exactly changed? Temmie sighed deeply. I don't know. Annabelle already knew. It wasn't Jeffrey, it was the voices around you. Temmie looked at her in surprise. The warning. Annabelle stood up. My friend, not every advice is wisdom. Some advice is fear disguised as concern. Temmie slowly lowered her head. Annabelle continued. Don't punish a good man for another person's mistakes. And don't punish his daughter because you're confused. Temmie felt as though those words pierced straight through her heart. She remembered Jeffrey's gentle smile, Jessica's cheerful laughter, the promise she had made before Jeffrey left. I'll take care of her. A wave of guilt washed over her. That evening, Jeffrey called from Abuja. Jessica answered immediately. Daddy, my princess, how are you? I'm fine. Really? Yes. Jessica forced a cheerful tone, hiding everything she had endured. Jeffrey smiled. I'll be home before you know it. I've completed half of my training already. Jessica looked at the calendar on the wall. She smiled. I'm counting the days. After the call ended, Annabelle quietly watched Jessica. She admired the little girl's strength. But she also knew children could only hide pain for so long. If Temmie continued listening to the wrong people, the promise she made to Jeffrey would soon be broken in a way that could never be undone. And when Jeffrey finally returned to Lagos, nothing would ever be the same again. 2 weeks later, only 4 weeks had passed since Jeffrey left for Abuja. His training was going exceptionally well. Every report from the instructors praised his leadership, discipline, and years of experience in restaurant management. Back in Lagos, things were falling apart. The magnificent mansion in Ikoyi still looked as beautiful as ever. The polished marble floors reflected the glow of the crystal chandeliers, while the expensive Italian furniture remained perfectly arranged. But behind those luxurious walls, peace had disappeared. That Tuesday afternoon, Temmie had one of the worst days of her career. A major supplier failed to deliver food items to 2 of her restaurants. An online food blogger criticized one of her new menu items. One of her branch managers called to report that a customer had created a scene after receiving the wrong order. By the time she drove home in her sleek black Range Rover Velar, she was exhausted. She threw her handbag onto the cream sofa. "I've had enough." Chef Musa cautiously approached. "Madam, should I serve dinner?" She shook her head. "No, I've lost my appetite." Even the staff could tell she was struggling. Jessica had been waiting excitedly all evening. She had drawn a colorful welcome home card for Temmie with crayons. On the front, she had written, "Thank you for taking care of me. You're the best auntie." She ran downstairs holding the card. "Auntie!" Temmie looked up tiredly. "What is it?" Jessica smiled brightly. "I made something for you." She handed over the card. Temmie looked at it for barely 2 seconds. "It's nice." She placed it on the table without opening it properly. Jessica's smile faded. "Oh." She quietly walked back upstairs. Auntie Grace saw everything. She picked up the card after Jessica left. When she opened it, she saw another message inside. "Daddy says people who show kindness are angels. Thank you for being my angel." Auntie Grace sighed. If only Madam had read this. The following afternoon, Maureen visited again. This time she arrived with Sandra. The two women relaxed in the elegant living room, sipping freshly prepared cappuccinos. Sandra glanced upstairs. "So, where's Jeffrey's daughter?" "Doing her homework." Sandra smiled. "Good. She should focus on school." Maureen leaned toward Temmie. "My dear, have you noticed something?" "What?" "Since Jeffrey left, you've been doing everything alone again." Temmie nodded quietly. Sandra added, "And honestly, isn't it peaceful?" Temmie hesitated. She thought about it. The mansion wasn't peaceful. It was lonely. But before she could answer, Maureen spoke again. "You've sacrificed enough. When Jeffrey returns, you need to set boundaries." Temmie remained silent. That evening, rain poured heavily across Lagos. Jessica hurried downstairs carrying her school project. She wanted to show Temmie the drawing her teacher had praised. As she reached the living room, her foot slipped on the polished marble floor. The project fell into a flower vase. The expensive crystal vase crashed onto the floor. Crash! The sound echoed throughout the mansion. Everyone froze. Temmie rushed into the living room. She stared at the broken vase. It had been imported from Italy. Jessica immediately knelt down. "I'm sorry, it was an accident." Temmie looked at the shattered pieces, then at Jessica. Her patience finally snapped. "Do you know how expensive that vase was?" "I'm sorry." "You keep saying you're sorry. Every day it's one problem after another." Jessica started crying. "I didn't mean to." Temmie pointed toward the staircase. "Go to your room, now." Jessica ran upstairs in tears. After Jessica left, Auntie Grace quietly picked up the broken glass. Then she looked at Temmie. "Madam," Temmie sighed. "What is it?" "You promised Olga Jeffrey that you'd care for his daughter." Temmie looked away. "I know." Auntie Grace continued gently. "She's just a child. Children make mistakes." Temmie sat down heavily. "I've been under too much pressure." "I know, but don't let that pressure change the kind person you used to be." Those words lingered in Temmie's heart. But instead of going upstairs to comfort Jessica, she remained seated in silence. Later that night, around 8 p.m., Annabelle stopped by the mansion. She had brought books and snacks for Jessica. Jessica came downstairs with swollen eyes. Annabelle immediately noticed. "Jessica, have you been crying?" Jessica quickly wiped her face. "No." Annabelle gently held her shoulders. "You don't have to pretend with me." Jessica finally whispered, "I broke Auntie's flower vase," and she got very angry. Annabelle hugged her tightly. "It was an accident." Jessica nodded. "I know, but I think Auntie doesn't love me anymore." Annabelle closed her eyes sadly. Her heart ached for the little girl. Before leaving, Annabelle walked toward Temmie. She spoke calmly. "Temmie, you need to be careful." Temmie folded her arms. "What do you mean?" "Jessica isn't just Jeffrey's daughter anymore. She's a little girl who trusts you. If you keep hurting her, you won't just lose her trust. You'll lose Jeffrey forever." Temmie didn't respond. She simply stared, through the large glass windows into the darkness outside. For the first time, fear settled into her heart. Not fear of being used, but fear of becoming the very person she never wanted to be. Unfortunately, before she could make things right, a far greater mistake was only days away. One mistake that would shatter every chance she had of keeping Jeffrey in her life. 2 weeks later, Jeffrey had now spent almost a month in Abuja. His training had become more demanding, but he excelled in every assessment. His instructors praised his discipline, leadership, and ability to solve difficult business problems. One afternoon, the lead instructor addressed the trainees. "Ladies and gentlemen, your final evaluations have been impressive." Everyone applauded. He continued, "Some of you will receive job offers before this program ends." Jeffrey smiled quietly. He immediately thought of Jessica. "Just a little longer, my princess. Everything is about to change." He had no idea that hundreds of kilometers away in Lagos, his daughter's world was falling apart. Back in Ikoyi, the mansion felt emptier than ever. Temi sat alone in the luxurious living room. The large television was on, but she wasn't watching it. She picked up her phone. No new messages from Jeffrey. She opened their previous conversations. The last message read, "Good night, Temi. Thank you again for everything. Please don't forget to remind Jessica to revise her mathematics." Temi sighed. He only talks about Jessica. She dropped the phone onto the sofa. Deep down, she missed Jeffrey, but instead of admitting it, she became irritated by everything around her. That evening, Maureen arrived again. She found Temi sitting alone. "My dear, you look miserable." Temi forced a smile. "I'm fine." "No, you're lonely." Temi remained silent. Maureen sat beside her. "You're beginning to realize something." "What?" "You don't need Jeffrey. You only got used to having people around." Temi looked uncertain. "Maybe." Maureen smiled. "When he returns, it's time for him to stand on his own feet." Temi nodded slowly. Perhaps it was time. Later that night, Jessica was helping Auntie Grace arrange freshly washed clothes. She carried a small basket upstairs. As she reached the landing, she accidentally bumped into a decorative side table. A framed photograph of Temi's late parents slipped off the table. It crashed onto the marble floor. The glass shattered. Jessica gasped. "Oh no." She immediately bent down. "I'm so sorry." The noise drew Temi upstairs. She looked at the broken frame. Her face changed instantly. "My parents' picture." Jessica's voice shook. "Auntie, it slipped." Temi's emotions exploded. "Everything you touch gets damaged." Jessica burst into tears. I'm sorry. I said leave it." The whole house fell silent. Chef Musa and Auntie Grace rushed upstairs. Auntie Grace spoke gently. "Madam, it was an accident." Temi looked at Jessica. "Every day it's one excuse after another." Jessica cried harder. "I didn't mean it." Temi pointed toward the staircase. "I've tolerated enough." Jessica stood frozen. Temi's voice became louder. "You and your father have lived here long enough." The room became silent. Even Maureen, who had not yet left the house, watched quietly from the living room downstairs. Jessica whispered, "Auntie, pack your things." Jessica looked confused. "My things?" "Yes, I don't want you here anymore." Auntie Grace gasped. "Madam," Chef Musa stepped forward. "Please, don't do this." Temi shook her hand firmly. "My decision is final." Jessica ran into her room crying. She looked around the beautiful bedroom that had once felt like home. Now, it no longer felt safe. She slowly packed her school uniform, books, clothes, and the wristwatch Jeffrey had given her before traveling. She picked up the framed picture of herself and Jeffrey. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Daddy, I wish you were here." Downstairs, Auntie Grace pleaded once more. "Madam, it's almost midnight. Where will this child go?" Temi avoided her eyes. "I don't know." Chef Musa spoke firmly. "This isn't who you are." Temi remained silent, but she refused to change her mind. A few minutes later, Jessica walked downstairs with her small traveling bag. She stood before Temi, still hoping, still believing. Maybe Auntie Temmie would change her mind. Auntie, I'm sorry. I'll be more careful, I promise. Temmie looked away. You need to leave. Jessica's last hope disappeared. She quietly picked up her bag. Before walking out, she turned to Auntie Grace and Chef Musa. Thank you for always being kind to me. Auntie Grace hugged her tightly, crying openly. Chef Musa wiped his eyes. My daughter, God will protect you. The security guards at the gate watched in disbelief as Jessica stepped out into the cool Lagos night. She walked slowly along the quiet street, carrying nothing but a small bag and a broken heart. Jessica did not wander aimlessly. She remembered the address of the old one-bedroom apartment where she and Jeffrey had lived before moving into Temmie's mansion. When she arrived, the landlord's wife, Mama Bissy, was sitting outside. She immediately recognized Jessica. Jessica! The little girl could no longer hold back her tears. She ran into Mama Bissy's arms. Mama! Mama Bissy hugged her tightly. What happened? Jessica told her everything. Mama Bissy's eyes filled with tears. My child, you won't stay outside tonight. She immediately called Jeffrey's elderly uncle. Within an hour, he arrived and took Jessica to his modest apartment. He prepared a bed for her in the sitting room and covered her with a warm blanket. You are safe here. Jessica nodded. Thank you, Uncle. She looked at her phone. Jeffrey had sent a message. Good night, my princess. Daddy loves you. Sleep well. Jessica wiped away her tears. She typed a reply. Good night, Daddy. I love you too. I'm fine. Love. Then she put the phone aside. She couldn't bring herself to tell him the truth. She didn't want anything to distract him from the opportunity that could change their lives forever. But while Jessica chose to protect her father's dream, Temmie had just made the greatest mistake of her life. A mistake that would soon cost her the man she loved. Don't miss the next emotional and heartbreaking episode filled with shocking twists, powerful lessons, and unforgettable Nollywood drama. If you're enjoying this story, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to the channel for more captivating African love stories and family dramas. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next exciting part of the story.